There are moments in life when the weight of financial struggles feels unbearable. You open your wallet, glance at your bank account, and it whispers back emptiness. But let me tell you something life-changing. Your bank account is not your master. It is your servant. You were never created to live under the pressure of lack, but to rise above it with faith-filled words. When everything around you screams not enough, that is the moment to open your mouth and speak abundance, speak overflow, speak provision. Your words have power. Power to call in resources, to break the chains of debt, to release the blessings already stored up for you. Don't sit silently in defeat. Lift your voice and declare, money, come in the name of Jesus. Bank account be filled. Finances align with God's promises. Every declaration you make in faith moves mountains, shifts circumstances, and summons opportunities you cannot yet see. This is not wishful thinking. It is a spiritual law. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. So today, let your confession carry authority, boldness, and unwavering trust. Speak life into your finances and watch lack bow its head before your words. There is a divine mystery woven into the very fabric of life, the power of words. Every word that leaves your lips is a seed planted into the soil of your future. Words are not empty. They carry weight, they carry energy, and they carry authority. What you speak is shaping the atmosphere around you, whether you are aware of it or not. If you constantly declare lack, defeat, and hopelessness, your life begins to mirror those confessions. But when you speak life, prosperity, hope, and faith, you release a force that begins to rearrange circumstances in your favor. The truth is, the life you are living today is the harvest of the words you spoke yesterday. Every breakthrough, every setback, every atmosphere you dwell in is connected to the declarations that once left your mouth. This is not just positive thinking, it is a spiritual principle, unshakable and undeniable. Your reality bends toward your confessions, and your future is sculpted by your words. What you say repeatedly, you eventually live. This is why guarding your tongue is guarding your destiny, and choosing your words carefully is choosing the life you long to see. When we understand this principle, our language can no longer be careless. You cannot afford to speak as though words are powerless echoes in the air. They are living forces capable of opening or closing doors before you. Imagine walking through your day planting invisible seeds, each word carrying the potential to sprout into blessings or into thorns. If you say, I will never get out of debt, then you chain yourself to the reality of lack. But if you say, I will rise above these circumstances and provision will find me, you create pathways for abundance to locate you. Life has a way of aligning with the declarations you hold firm in your spirit. Consider how faith itself is activated, not by silence, but by confession. Belief in your heart alone does not change the outward world until it flows out of your lips. The invisible becomes visible when you speak. The unseen answers to the spoken word. This is why the battle is not only fought in your mind, but with your tongue, for your words are the weapons that determine the outcome of your reality. Let me share a story of a young man who once struggled with crushing poverty. He had no steady income, no savings, and a family that depended on him. Each day he looked at his empty wallet and felt the weight of despair. One night, after hearing the truth about the power of words, he made a radical choice. He stood in his small room, lifted his wallet, and declared, You will no longer stay empty. You will overflow. Money will find its way into you, and I will never be in lack again. At first, nothing seemed to change, but he kept speaking these words daily with conviction, even when his circumstances mocked him. Weeks later, unexpected job opportunities opened. Small streams of income started flowing from directions he never imagined. Within months, he had not only provided for his family, but also saved enough to start a small business. That business grew, and his financial situation transformed completely. What was the secret? It was not luck, it was not chance. It was his unrelenting confession that shifted his reality. His words became the bridge between his lack and his breakthrough. This story illustrates a truth many overlook. Words do not merely describe reality, they create it. Too often, people think they must wait until circumstances improve before they can change their language. But that is backward. You must speak what you desire to see, not what you currently see. Words are prophetic. They go ahead of you and prepare the ground for what is to come. When you declare, I am blessed, I am favored, I am prosperous, those words carry energy into your tomorrow and begin working on your behalf. The invisible realm responds to the sound of faithful words, and in time, the visible world has no choice but to align. Think of your words as builders constructing the walls of your future. If you speak carelessly, the walls crumble. If you speak with purpose, they stand strong. Never underestimate a single declaration, because what you are bold enough to speak repeatedly, you will eventually walk into. The transformation of your life begins with the transformation of your language. No change is possible without a shift in words. You cannot hope for abundance while confessing scarcity. You cannot expect victory while declaring defeat. Your words must agree with the destiny you are believing for, not the struggles you are enduring. Even when your bank account seems empty, your declaration must be full of life. Even when doors appear closed, your confession must be that opportunities are opening. Every giant that has ever been defeated was brought down first by words of faith before actions followed. The moment you open your mouth with authority and conviction, you set a new reality into motion. The greatest battles are not fought with weapons in your hand, but with the words from your lips. Speak as though heaven is listening, because it is. Speak as though your future depends on it, because it does. Speak as though your words can shift the impossible, because they will. Your bank account is not just numbers on a screen. It is a reflection of the beliefs and declarations you carry inside. Too often people think money is controlled only by jobs, salaries, or the economy, but there is a higher principle at work. Faith has the ability to command provision where there seems to be none. Just as a seed obeys the laws of nature and grows when planted, your bank account responds to the words of faith spoken over it. If you constantly speak fear, doubt, and lack, your finances shrink under the weight of those confessions. But if you stand boldly in faith and declare overflow, increase, and divine provision, you release a spiritual force that reshapes financial circumstances. Your account listens not to your worry, but to your faith. The same mouth that prays for breakthrough must also speak breakthrough. The same lips that cry for provision must declare abundance. When you dare to address your finances with authority, you discover that lack loses its voice and faith gains the final say. Your faithful words are the keys that unlock heaven's provision and release it into your earthly account. Faith is not passive, it is active. It speaks, it declares, and it commands. To walk in faith over your finances means refusing to echo the language of scarcity. Instead of saying, I will never make it, faith says, I am the head and not the tail. I will not lack. Instead of sighing over bills, faith speaks to them. You are paid in full. When you face a low balance, faith does not panic. It proclaims this account is filling up with increase. Faith speaks into existence what the natural eye cannot yet see, and while the doubter mocks, the believer confesses boldly until the unseen becomes seen. Your bank account is waiting for such declarations. It is waiting to hear you speak, not from your fear, but from your trust in God's promises. When faith rises in your voice, it stirs a movement in the unseen realm, and opportunities, connections, and unexpected resources begin to align themselves with your words. Faith is the language your account understands, and it always responds to it. There was once a single mother who lived paycheck to paycheck, barely able to cover rent and food for her 2 children. She often looked at her bank account and felt despair creep into her heart. One night she remembered the teaching that her finances were not deaf. They could hear the sound of faith. With tears in her eyes, she laid her hands on her checkbook and declared, You will never run dry again. From this day, increase will flow, and my children will never go hungry. She spoke it every morning, even when her balance mocked her with almost nothing. Weeks later, an unexpected promotion came at her job, doubling her salary. Shortly after, a distant relative gifted her a car, relieving her of transportation costs. What seemed impossible began to shift, all because she chose to speak faith to her account instead of surrendering to fear. That mother and her children no longer lived in lack, and she testified that her breakthrough began the day her words of faith replaced her words of worry. Her account truly listened to the sound of her faith. This story is not an exception. It is a principle that works for anyone bold enough to apply it. When you stand before your financial challenges, do not remain silent and do not repeat the hopelessness of the world around you. Speak faith. Speak with the authority of one who knows that heaven backs every word that aligns with truth. If you say, "I will always be in debt," then you agree with bondage. But if you say, "My debts are canceled, my needs are met, and I live in abundance," then your words open the door for freedom. Your account may be empty today, but it is not deaf. It is waiting for instructions, and faith is the command it responds to. This is why silence is dangerous, because silence leaves your finances under the control of chance, while words of faith bring them under the command of divine provision. The account listens to whoever speaks, and you have the authority to make faith the loudest voice it hears. Every deposit of faith you make through your words builds a balance that no bank can measure, but it shows up in your life. Speaking faith is like sowing into the soil of your future, and in due time you will reap the harvest. Your bank account will not argue with faith, it will simply obey. The more consistently you speak, the stronger your reality shifts. This is not a one-time act, it is a lifestyle of confession, a daily discipline of speaking what you believe until what you believe manifests. Money flows where faith directs it. Abundance comes where words prepare it, and accounts fill when faith fills voices declare them full. Your finances are listening. Your wallet is listening. Your account is listening. Make sure the language they hear is not fear, not doubt, not defeat, but unwavering faith that calls things that are not as though they already are. Abundance does not begin with money in your hands. It begins with words in your mouth. What you confess shapes the reality you step into. Many wait for wealth before they dare to speak abundance, but the truth is reversed. You must confess it before you see it. Confession is not denying reality. It is declaring a greater reality into existence. When you say, "I live in abundance," you are not lying about your present. You are prophesying your future. Your confession becomes the seed that produces the harvest of prosperity. Every time you speak words of lack, you plant thorns that choke the life of provision. But every time you confess increase, you water the soil of overflow. Abundance is not a coincidence. It is the fruit of consistent, faithful words. What you boldly confess with conviction is what you eventually walk into. If your heart believes it and your mouth declares it, the doors of abundance cannot remain shut forever. Confession is not just talk, it is creation. It sets in motion unseen forces that rearrange circumstances, align opportunities, and open doors that once looked permanently closed. Confession is more than positive speech, it is agreement with divine truth. When you confess abundance, you align yourself with promises that have been spoken long before you were born. These promises carry power, but they must be activated by your words. It is not enough to think abundance in your mind or to wish for it silently. Confession gives breath to your belief, turning faith into a living force. Silence is the enemy of abundance because it allows doubt to dominate. But when you lift your voice and confess, "I walk in overflow, my needs are met, and my cup runs over," you drown out the voice of fear and replace it with faith. The moment your confession changes, your reality begins to shift. Your words draw the blueprint of your future, and heaven's resources begin building what your mouth has declared. This is why many people stay stuck. They speak only what they see instead of confessing what they desire to see. Abundance always begins at the level of your words. There was once a struggling shopkeeper who watched his small business crumble year after year. Every day he confessed defeat, telling himself, "I will never succeed. Customers will never come. My business will always remain small." And indeed, his reality matched his words. One evening, after hearing about the power of confession, he decided to change the language of his life. He stood in his shop, surrounded by empty shelves, and declared, "This store is full. Customers are coming. Sales are overflowing. This place will prosper." At first, nothing changed, but he persisted with daily confessions, believing them even when his circumstances laughed at him. Slowly, customers began to walk in unexpectedly. Word of mouth spread. His store became known in the community for quality and trust. Within a year, his business was thriving, and he moved into a larger location. When asked what made the difference, he said, "The day I changed my confession, my life changed." His abundance began not with money in his register, but with words on his lips. This story reveals a timeless truth. Confession is the engine of abundance. Your circumstances may appear dry, your account may look empty, but your confession has the power to reverse what your eyes see. Speak to your finances, your work, your family, your future, and declare life over them. Say what you want to see, not what you are currently experiencing. Abundance does not come by accident. It comes because you consistently confess it into existence. Words are magnets. They draw into your life what they carry. If you confess lack, lack will cling to you. But if you confess overflow, overflow will pursue you. Every blessing you desire is waiting for the sound of your faith-filled words to call it forth. When your confession matches your faith, the impossible begins to bend in your favor, and what once seemed distant becomes your living reality. Confession is the birthplace of abundance because it establishes agreement between your heart and your mouth. When these two align, your entire life begins to follow. You cannot allow your tongue to betray the abundance you believe for. Even when times are hard, keep confessing, "I am blessed, I am favored, my storehouses are full, my life overflows." The unseen realm listens to your voice and prepares the harvest of your confession. What begins as simple words becomes a force that shapes your destiny. The seed of abundance lies in every confession, waiting to sprout into opportunities, provision, and breakthroughs. Speak consistently, speak boldly, and speak faithfully. Abundance has ears, and it responds to the one who dares to confess it before it appears. Your future is waiting for your words to give it permission to manifest. Speak abundance daily, and you will walk into the life your confession has been building for you all along. The journey to financial transformation is not about chance, nor is it about waiting for circumstances to change on their own. It is about taking authority with the words of your mouth. Every breakthrough begins with what you dare to declare. Your tongue carries the ability to unlock provision, to silence lack, and to call forth opportunities that your eyes cannot yet see. When you speak life, you invite abundance. When you speak faith, you shift the very atmosphere around you. Your reality does not have the final say, your confession does. Just as a seed planted today becomes a harvest tomorrow, the words you speak over your bank account, your business, your career, and your future will bear fruit in due season. Refuse to let fear or doubt control your language. Instead, let your declarations rise with boldness, filled with trust and unshakable confidence. Speak to your finances, speak to your circumstances, and watch them aligned with the promises of abundance and overflow. Your tomorrow is being shaped right now by the power of your words today. Thank you for receiving this message. May your life overflow with blessings, increase, and joy. God bless you richly.